Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Hope you guys' day is going well. Here we are again, back at it again, you guys. So, yesterday we did adding and subtracting integers, and today we're going to focus on multiplying and dividing integers. I decided to do it a two-part just because different the adding and subtraction have the same principle and multiplying and dividing uses the same principle. So I figured it'd be easier to learn it at two separate times. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into it. So, like I said, we're doing multiplying and dividing integers. And so this is the principle when multiplying and dividing integers. I already have it written down. But multiplying and dividing, well, this one is first multiplying integers. Hopefully you guys can see all of that. And I kind of go over it. So when multiplying, so a positive times a positive is always going to be a positive. When this is when multiplying. Okay? And then negative times a negative will always be positive. Okay? And then positive times a negative is negative. And then a negative times a positive is negative as well. So these two right here are the same thing. These two right here, the bottom two, they're the same thing, but only thing different is switched. Positive, negative, negative, positive. It's switched. So it doesn't matter if the first, we're going to do some examples as well, as usual. So it doesn't matter if the first number is negative or the second number is negative. When you multiplying, the answer is still going to be, have to include a negative at the end. Okay? All right. So we're going to go ahead and do some examples for, well, this is, so let me, because I don't want to have to do this graph again, create this again. It's just so cute. So let me go ahead and get this out the way first, because like I said, it's the same principle whether you're multiplying or dividing, using the same principle with this. So let me go ahead and change these signs so you guys can see what I'm talking about. A few minutes, I'm almost done. Okay, so now it's changed to division. So now, when you're dividing a positive number and a positive number, a positive number divided into a positive number is going to always remain positive. When you're dividing a negative number into a negative number, it's going to remain positive because negative divided into a negative is positive. Okay? And then a positive divided into a negative, the number will always be, the answer will always be negative. And then the flip side, negative divided into a positive, it's going to remain negative. Okay? I thought this was a cute graph. I'm proud of myself for this one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this and then we'll go ahead and look at some examples real quick. Okay, so that you guys see what I'm talking about. Okay. And one more to write out. Okay, so these are some examples. So a positive, when multiplying a positive times a positive, a positive times a positive will remain positive. And the second example is a negative times a negative. So negative 2 times negative 5 is going to be 10, a positive 10. And then the third one is a positive times a negative, and it's going to give you a negative 10. And then the bottom one is negative 2 times 5, and that would be negative 10 as well. So the bottom two, as long as you can get these two, the bottom when it's just one negative, whether it's first or second, it's going to remain negative. The answer is going to remain negative. Okay? So negative, so whenever all the positive, you're just going to write it as usual. And then multiplying a negative times a negative is going to be 10. And then multiplying a positive times a negative is going to be negative 10. And then a negative times a positive is going to be negative as well. It's going to remain negative, okay? Okay, so always remember when you're multiplying, and two positive integers will always remain positive. Two negative integers will always remain positive. One negative and one positive will always remain negative. Okay? So let's see some examples of dividing integers. Now we're going to divide some integers. Write these examples down real quick. Okay. Okay. So these are examples that I have for the division, the principle when it comes to division. So whether it has the bracket like this, you put that negative sign right there. So whether it has the negative sign and a bracket like this, or whether it's like this, that means the exact same thing. So don't get scared of the bracket. You see the bracket and you think it is something extra or more you have to do. They just put it in there sometimes. So that's why I did some examples with the bracket and then some without the bracket, just so you see it's the exact same thing. It's just with some is with and some is without, but it means you do the same exact method. Okay, so positive divided into a positive is going to give you a positive. So 8 divided into 2 gives you 4. A negative divided into a negative will give you a positive 4 right there. And then we have a positive divided into a negative, and it's going to give us a negative 4. And then we have a negative divided into a positive, and it's going to give us a negative 4. Okay? So positive and positive will always be positive. Negative and negative when division will always be positive. Positive divided into a negative will always be negative, and then a negative divided into a positive will always be negative as well. Okay, so now let's go ahead and work on some problems. Since we've seen some examples, we understand the principle of multiplying and dividing integers now. Excuse me. So we have about 9 to 10 questions, 9 to 10 problems that we're going to work on just to get extra practice. So the first one, number 1, is negative 3. So we have a negative 3 times a positive 5. So negative 3 times negative times a positive will give us what? So we already know 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm going to go ahead and write 15. So I need to figure out, is this going to remain positive or is it negative? So because it has one positive and one negative, that means it's going to be negative. So it's going to be, so our first one is negative 15. Okay. Erase this and go to number 2. I told you guys writing big is not my forte. It's not my specialty. Alright, so 6 times negative 5. So again, we have a positive times a negative. And it's in parentheses or in the bracket, but it doesn't, you still just multiplying it out. 6 times negative 5. So 6 times negative 5 is 30. And we need to figure out is it going to be negative or positive. And if you said positive, you are wrong. This one is negative because positive times negative is negative. So it's going to be negative 30. So the answer for this one is negative 30. All right, let's go to the next one. So I will get done with all the multiplication ones first, and then we'll go to the division ones. I think it'd be better to track what number we're on. All right, so now we have a positive times a negative. A positive times a negative. So 9 times 2 is 18. So now we have to figure out is it going to be negative or positive. So a positive times a negative, when you're dealing with multiplication, it's going to be negative. So we have negative 18 for number 3. All right, number 4. Okay, so now we have two negatives. Two negatives. So we have negative 7 times a negative 3. Negative times a negative is what? Positive. All right, so now we have a positive 21. So our answer is just 21. Okay, so negative times negative is positive. All right, let's go to number 5. And this is our last multiplication one. And we'll go to division. All right, so we have two negatives again. So we have negative 2 times negative 5. Negative 2 times negative 5, as you can tell, I purposely did one without the bracket and one with the bracket. So it's no difference. It's nothing. It's just a bracket. That's all it is. It's just a bracket when you're dealing with multiplying, dividing integers. Okay? So negative 2, negative times a negative is going to be positive. So it'll be a positive 10. So we have positive 10 for number 5. All right, let's go to division now. Okay, so number 6, we have positive 15 divided into negative 3. So we have positive divided into a negative. And it's the same principle as when we did the multiplication. So positive divided into negative is going to be what? Negative 5. You are correct. Negative 5. So our answer is negative 5 for number 6. Okay. Let's go to number 7. All right. So now we have a negative divided into a positive. So negative 49 divided into 7 is what? Negative divided into a positive. It's going to be negative 7. So our answer is negative 7 for number 7. Okay. Number 8. Alright, so I put both in brackets this time. So we have a negative divided into a negative. So you're going to do it the same way as if you just don't even see the brackets. You're going to work out the same exact way. So negative divided into a negative, negative divided to a negative is positive. So it'll be a positive what? Positive 3. Good job. Number 8 is a positive 3. Okay? So we have one more left. One more left. Number 9. Where's that? Number 9. One more problem. Negative 20. Tell me what you guys think. Negative 20 divided into 5. So we have a negative number divided into a positive number. Negative number divided into a positive number. What would that be? It would be a negative number. It would be negative. So let me go ahead and do the negative. Because negative divided into a positive will always be negative. And then 5 going to 20 4 times. So that's your answer for number 9. Negative 4. Okay, so we're done with the integers now. So like I said, I really hope that this is beneficial to you guys. I really hope that it helps with you understanding and grasping how to work out and do integers. Continue practicing, continue working on it. That's the only way you get better at it, is by doing it, and just remembering those principles. And those principles will really help you. If you can remember those principles, it will really be beneficial to you. So that just in general, when you know how to multiply and divide and add and subtract integers, just dealing with negative numbers, you can get the correct answer. So you won't get stuck or have a problem with, I know the answer, but I don't know if it's negative or positive. Okay? So good luck to you guys. Continue to stay safe. Continue working. Let's keep grinding it out, you guys. All right. Love you guys.